Hey there, fellow coders. Welcome back to our channel, where we embark on an exciting journey of coding and laughter. In today's video, we have a special treat for you. We are diving into 50 projects in 50 days, our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript project series. But hold on tight because there is a twist for you today. We are going to build a random dad jokes generator. Get ready for some hilarious programming adventures. Alright, folks, today we are going to create a random dad jokes generator using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So, buckle up and prepare for some rip tickling coding session. So, if we reload, this data is coming from API. So we have handled a fetch methods of JavaScript to get the data from API. If we click on generate, this will create a more joke. If we click again, so this will also create a joke. So guys, let's start with the HTML structure for our dad joke generator. We will create the necessary divs elements to house our jokes. Okay guys, so let's get started with our HTML code. Okay guys, fantastic. We have just created our HTML file. Let's have a look on our browser how it looks like. Obviously, it will look very weird because we have not implemented the CSS and JavaScript yet. But before we move on to CSS, we will learn what we have written in our HTML file. So let's get started to understand what we have written in our HTML file. So overall, talking about this is the starting point of our HTML document, line number 1. It tells the browser that this is a HTML5 file written in a English file. This is a English lang. And this is our head section. So head section contains about the web page. Here we have title of the web page set to random dad joke generator. The meta tag specifies the character encoding and the initial scale of the web page. The link tags are used to include external CSS files, and the one is local file called style.css and the other is CSS file from external sources like Fontavism. This is a Fontavism we are using for icons. Talking about the body section, so inside it we have a div element with the class container that acts as a wrapper for our web page content. Within the container we have a header section with an image, a heading, and 3 icons representing a phone, a video, and 3 dots. Below the header, this is our header, and in the header div element we have a ID chart and class chart. It contains a paragraph tag with the next today. This section is probably where the dad jokes or messages will be displayed. Finally, we have a button. This is our button. We have a click event on it. And finally, we have a button element with the ID joke btn and the class btn. The button text is "Can you tell me a joke?" and it also includes an icon of a paper plane. This button will likely trigger an action to generate a random dad jokes from our API call. We are hitting a API call on this button to generate a random messages. And finally, the last line is script src is the script.js file. This is our script tag. So it includes an external JavaScript file called script.js which contains the code that controls the behavior of the web page. So this is what our HTML file in our project. Let's get toward to the CSS file. Okay guys, let's add some CSS styling to make our random dot joke generator look visually appealing, and we will play around with colors, fonts and layout. So let's get started with the code. Okay guys, we have just created our CSS file and written a CSS code to look our web page visually appealing. Let's get to see on a browser how it looks like. Obviously, we have not implemented our JavaScript yet, so some part are missing right now. But this is how looks like our CSS. We have added the icon, the today text, and the input, and this is our icons, three dots. So guys, let's get understand what we have written in our CSS file. So overall talking about, so first line is the import a font called Montserrat from the Google Font service. It allows the web page to use the Montserrat font for the text. So another one is to, this is the asterisk symbol. This sets the box sizing property to border box. Its CSS reset that ensure that the specified width and height of the element include the padding and the border rather than adding extra spaces. Another one, this is our root and this is our variables. So this sets two custom CSS variable, that is asset colors and background color at the root level. These variables can be used later to define color throughout the code. This is similar to our JavaScript variable and we will use it multiple times in our project. So this is very useful for avoiding the repetitive code in our CSS file. And the another one is the our body tag. This applies the style to the body element. It sets the font family to Montserrat, which was imported earlier. Sets the background color to the value of background color variable and center the content vertically and horizontally using the flex box. And the height of our body is 100, viewport height, margin is 0. The another one is the container class. It says it is a flex container with a column direction, sets the background color to white, adds a border radius of 30 px, giving it rounded corners, and applies a box shadow for a subtle visual effect. The container has a fixed height and width of 800 px and 600 px respectively, and maximum height of 90% to ensure it fits within a viewport. Talking about the rest of the CSS code, defines style for different elements like header, chart area, messages, buttons. It sets a various property like colors, fonts, sizes, padding, margins to achieve a specific visual designs. From a web development perspective, this code demonstrates the use of CSS control the layout and visual appearance of web page. It showcases the technique like flagbox, CSS variables, and box shadow, following consistent naming convention and organizing the code into logical section, improves the readability and maintainability of our code. So this is how our CSS code. So let's move toward the JavaScript and create a dynamic our project. Now here we have come to the fun part. We will create a JavaScript step by step, and we will create a async function of JavaScript, create a sleep function using the JavaScript, and use our API. How to use, we will learn how to use the API handling in JavaScript. We will use the fetch methods of our JavaScript that will be useful to generate our random jokes. So guys, let's get started with our JavaScript code. Okay guys, fantastic. We have just created our JavaScript file and the code that work on our browser. If we reload, so this joke is coming from the API. If we click again, this joke will be coming. So let's get understand step by step, line by line, what we have written in our JavaScript file. The first two lines are select elements from the HTML document using their IDs. The chart variable represents an HTML with the ID chart, and the joke button variable represents an element with the ID joke btn. It allows us to interact with these elements in JavaScript. Also talking about, this is the generate joke button, and we are calling the generate joke button on the event listener of our joke button. When we click on the joke button, this function will be called. So let's get understand what we have written in our generate joke button. Firstly, we have given the async keyword to our generate joke button. That means that our code will run asynchronous. Asynchronous means not particular to line by line. It will run after a certain amount of the data when we fetch. That's why we have given a await here. This will wait the response. After that we will get the response and apply it to the our set element content, that is our UI. So firstly we have disabled the button here and get the message by using the create message element. So this is our create message element function, and append it that message to the UI. This is our function to append message. This is our helper function. We will see it by later what is the append message, create message element. This is our helper function in our generate joke function. Later this is our main code to fetch the data from the backend, like we are talking about the API. And after getting the response and the response dot OK means the data is correctly, then we are setting that data to the UI, that is set element content. After getting the data, we are disabling the button again. And if the response is not okay, I mean it will not get our response, then here you can handle your error message or whatever if you want to create on your UI. Now let's talk about this create message element. This is our function to create a new div element and assign it a class of message. If the content parameter is provided, it adds another class called response and sets the content using set element content function. If no content is provided, it adds a class called joke. Finally, it returns the created element. So this is our set element content. It includes a parameter that has a element and content. This function sets the element content of an element. The another one is append message function. This function appends an element to the chart area. It adds the element as a child of a chart element and adjusts the scroll position to that chart area scrolls to the bottom. And the last one is our sleeper function. It used to pause the execution of the code for a specified amount of time. It creates a promise that resolves after the time is completion. It will get the time, that is microsecond, and we have used the set timer function. When the time, it will hold the execution of line until the time is end. So this is what our JavaScript file looks like, and we have understand our code step by step. So guys, here we have created our projects, and I request you to all that don't just watch these videos or the tutorials. I requesting you to create your own projects also on your Visual Studio Codes or whatever the code editor you want. So, and I want to do it by creating yourself. Watching these videos doesn't help you. And there you have it, guys. Our random joke generator is up and running on our local host. It's been an amazing experience building this project, and I hope you had an as much fun watching as had a coding also. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And remember, coding doesn't always have to be serious. Sometimes it's about embracing the lighter side of the technology. So guys, please subscribe to my channel if you like this video, if you like this my project series of 50 days and 50 projects of using the HTML, CSS and JavaScript. But before we go, I have a challenge for you. In the comments below, share your favorite joke or even a programming related joke. Let's keep the laughter going on. Until then, guys, have a fun and happy coding. Thank you.